So I'm actually hiding out in my car for this TikTok because my kids are on a school break and I just cannot focus with them inside and everything's loud and chaotic and they just won't leave me alone. So here I am. I wanted to talk today about the fearful avoidant. Also, I'll refer to it as the FA going forward, and that is also called the disorganized. And so they have components of both the dismissive avoidant and the anxious preoccupied, and they have a combination of those two things, and so they use both activating and deactivating strategies. A lot of times they will not know that they're an FA. They'll think they're either a DA or an AP because in that relationship maybe the other style just doesn't come out, but they actually do have variability. But typically they will show up the opposite of their partner. So if they are an FA, they may lean anxious if their partner leans avoidant, and vice versa. So a lot of times they may think they're a DA or an AP based on that until they're in a relationship where maybe they switch or they see where they're showing up in both ways. So these individuals, their childhood wound comes from a trust wound. So a lot of times they may have little t traumas or a combination of big T traumas and little t traumas. Maybe it's fighting, divorce, a big move, substance abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, some sort of abuse. But at some point they decide that they're caregiver cannot be trusted, and so there's this huge betrayal wound and trust wound that they take going into adulthood, where they're always waiting kind of for the other shoe to drop, and they're always waiting for their partner to betray them, and they project this into all their adult relationships, thinking that people cannot be trusted, they cannot be counted on. They may be afraid of abandonment, they may be afraid that their needs may be unmet, but they do not trust their partners. So they really crave intimacy and a good relationship, but at the same time they are absolutely terrified of it. So a lot of times there will be a push-pull dynamic in a relationship where they really seek hard to cling to their partner and get connected to their partner and attached to their partner, and then at the same time all of a sudden they'll become afraid, and so they'll back off and withdraw a little bit, because as much as they want to be close to their partner, they are also afraid because they do have that trust wound, and they're always afraid that their partner is going to betray them. Because fearful avoidants have this lack of trust, they are often very hypervigilant. They are very in tune with any pattern changes, voice changes, body language, tone changes in their partner, because they're always looking for their partner to go and betray them or hurt them. They do not feel like love is safe. They do not feel like their partner is safe. So they're very much paying attention to all the little nuances of their partner, and they draw very deep meaning from it. So their partner may say, for example, they may say, they'll notice when something's wrong. Something's wrong. Are you okay? What's going on? Are you mad at me? And if their partner says no, but something really is going on, they're going to know that. And even if there's not something going on, they're probably not going to trust it if their partner says, I'm fine, everything's all right. They're always going to draw a deeper meaning from their partner and looking into when the partner is going to betray them or break their trust. The fearful avoidant has a very deep need to be seen, heard, and understood. They want to have their partner see them at their core level and accept them for who they are. They really want to be seen and understood. And a lot of times this will come out in conflict. So your fearful avoidants are the ones in conflict who will really be the ones that will come out fighting, using the angry words, and they don't do this consciously. They subconsciously will say hurtful things and lash out, and a lot of times it's a protest behavior. It's sort of like a last-ditch effort to get you to care or get you to chase after me, because they crave that intimacy and they crave connection, and they are very uncomfortable when that disconnect is there or there's conflict. They immediately want to work it out, solve it, and if they can't, a lot of times a protest behavior will be getting angry, lashing out, saying hurtful things, throwing things. They're the ones who really come out the door and out the gate fighting and ready to go. A lot of times they want to be seen and understood so well that when they are in pain or you've hurt them, they will lash out to unconsciously make you feel that same pain so that there's a level playing field. They also feel like if you understand them and you understand their pain, then you will not hurt them or betray them in that same way again. So another thing that they will do is beat a dead horse in a conversation or during a conflict. They will say the same thing over and over again, which a lot of times makes the partner feel a little berated. That's not their intention. The reason they're doing this is because they feel like if you truly understand them and you understand the depth of the pain and hurt that you've caused them, that you won't do that again, that you will get it and they can feel safer and feel more trustworthy that you're not going to do that same thing to them again. They do use the strategies of both activating and deactivating. So they might come out in conflict just fighting, ready to go. But at some point, if they feel like you've really betrayed them or really broken their trust, or they're not getting anywhere and their needs are just never going to be met, there also will be a hard pushback or a hard shutdown where they're just like, I can't do you right now. I can't be a part of this relationship. I cannot participate. I have to step back. And that is not because they don't want to reconnect, because they do want to reconnect. It is because they just don't have the capacity at that point. They have gone into a trauma response and it's too big for them, and they have to take a step back. Because they don't trust love and it feels unsafe to them based on their childhood wounds, a lot of times they will test to make sure that you're going to be loyal and make sure that you're going to be a person that they can trust. So a lot of times you'll see where they constantly sort of move the goalpost, which means that they set up these little tests subconsciously. And so they may say, I need this need and this need met. And so you show up in that way and you're meeting those needs. And then all of a sudden they change the game and it gets more intense, or there's new goalposts that need to be met. Those are little ways that they subconsciously test you to see if they can build trust and safety in you, because that's something that they desperately long for. And that's the main reason that they're afraid of intimacy and connection. Unlike the DA, they deeply want closeness and connection and intimacy and to be able to problem solve with you. But they're also terrified at the same time, because they're always afraid that they're not going to be able to trust and that other shoe's going to drop and they're going to be betrayed. This attachment style is extremely confusing for a partner, because sometimes they come at you really wanting to lean in and really wanting that closeness and connection, and then when they're overwhelmed or they're afraid, they'll pull back. So there's this constant push-pull dynamic and a lot of erratic behaviors, everything from screaming and yelling in a fight, from chasing you to room if they're leaning on their anxious side, wanting to reconnect, to being suspicious every time you change your tone or behavior, or you're just maybe going through some things of your own and they're automatically getting hypervigilant and wondering if it has to do with betraying them. So there's a lot of erratic behaviors, and then throw into that sometimes there's a shutdown or a pullback, and you just really kind of don't know what's going on with them. So they can be one of the more complex partners to have with this particular attachment style. Because they're always on the lookout for betrayal and trust, they really do, once you actually do break their trust or there actually is pain, it takes them a very, very long time to get over it. They almost wrap that pain around them like a blanket because they're afraid to take it off and go back out and actually give you a chance to trust again. So if you ever betray someone, or you're not trustworthy, or you're not honest with an FA, that's going to be something that takes them much longer to get over than the other two attachment styles, or other three attachment styles. But the other two that are the ones that are not secure. You do need to be gentle with an FA, because even though they will come out fighting in a fight and they will say harsh things, they're doing it subconsciously, and they do feel extremely guilty and they do feel extreme remorse after. They usually will apologize. But even though they come off that way and they can come out like little aggressive bulldogs, they are really sensitive and they really want to keep that connection. And so when they are being ugly, it's typically because they don't know how else to get you to connect. So they do need you to be gentle with them. And remember, the two biggest things for them are for you to be trustworthy and for them to feel really seen, heard, and understood and accepted for who they are. These are also the individuals that will bottle everything up and push it down because they do not want to come to you in conflict, and they don't want to disconnect because they don't like that disconnect. They want to be close to you even though they're afraid. They'll push everything down. They'll let it build and build and build that resentment, and these are the ones that will eventually just blow up. And they will name every single bad thing that you've ever done, everything bad with the relationship, and everything that's ever been a problem. They will also show some of the defensiveness of the DA if they don't feel seen or understood. They may come back defensively, and that may be one of the things that will cause them to come out in a fight, because remember, it's really important for them to feel seen, heard, and understood. But they may actually come across as defensive. They may get to a point where they shut down. It's important to remember, it's really confusing with this attachment style because you will see both the leaning anxious and the leaning avoidant, which can be very confusing. If you think you're a fearful avoidant, or you have a partner who's a fearful avoidant, or maybe you're a fearful avoidant leaning anxious and you have a fearful avoidant partner who leans avoidant, you definitely could learn some stuff from me. I would love to help you identify your attachment style, your partner's attachment style, and see if I can provide any insight. So, Leslie Wells, Connection Coach, all the information's in the bio.